You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shoe In Show. Happy 2024. Sounds a little bit weird. Matt, sometimes I'm still writing the previous year for at least a month or two.
Yeah, it takes a while,
check
right?
And everything else, right?
Brain
So
switch.
it's 2024. A little again, a Polk service announcement. Make sure you write the checks properly. You don't want these things to bounce and get some, negative account right off the bat.
2024.
That's the first tip of the year, right? So just pay attention.
I'm taking notes.
As we get it there you go. As we get into the new year, we always like to start off the year by having different leaders come and join us and share from their perch what they see with the footwear industry, what's happening, kind of give us some ideas and insights as to what they're focusing on and what they may see in the coming year. And so, Matt, who we got today?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Our guest today is an icon in the industry. He's been in the industry quite some time, and so he has a lot of wisdom to share, and that's Glenn Barrett, who's founder and CEO at OrthoLite. He's joining us here on Shoe In Show because he has a unique viewpoint on what's driving trends in 2024. So, Glenn, welcome to the program. We're so excited to have you on Shoe In Show today.
Thank you so much, fellas, and I'm glad to be here.
That's awesome. So, one of the things out of the gate we like to ask, it's kind of hokey, but we learned so much in the response to this question. And it is, Glenn, what is your shoe story? How on earth did you get in this industry, and what's brought you to the foundation of OrthoLite today?
So I thanks for the question. I started in the business working for Vibram, and working for Vibram's United States licensee, the Quabog Rubber Company. And so what I learned there was the value of a component brand, and what ingredient brands can really bring to the marketplace in terms of supporting our brand partners and our customers in marketing their shoes. I've been in components for several decades, more than I'm going to admit out loud here. And after I left Vibram, I was interested in finding another component that would be totally unique. And so what I did was I focused on the interior of the shoe, which nobody was really paying any attention to. And that's a really hot, sweaty, smelly place with plenty of room for improvement. And so we developed this material called OrthoLite, which is a breathable polyurethane foam. And all I focused on was comfort, because I've never had anyone say to me, these shoes are too comfortable. We don't care if our shoes are comfortable. So honestly, fellas, my mission in life is to make the world a more comfortable place.
That's awesome. And I know, just quickly looking at your map, and so people kind of understand, you guys are all over the world. You've got 6 factories on 4 continents, I think. So when we're talking about footwear and supply chains and challenges the industry faces, you guys have a really good pulse on working with brands and being a supplier and having to manage those factories yourself.
Yeah, I think thanks for bringing that up. We supply over 500 footwear brands. I say to people, we supply every single footwear brand, or most of them that you've ever heard of, and then a few hundred others. So we have a unique purview in that regard. So we own our own facilities in China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Spain, a joint venture in India, and a factory in Brazil. So our job is to be supply chain mavens, and we have to supply people local for local wherever they make shoes. And so our customers have to get the same product everywhere they go.
Yeah, that is such an important part, Glenn, of this industry, is because we are in all these different locations. And if you're not, as a material supplier, there on site it's really difficult to not collaborate and have those collaborative relationships. And so kudos to you, the wisdom you gained at Vibram, and then obviously here at OrthoLite. You're now in your 25th year. You just celebrated 25 years. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, an awesome accomplishment. So as the global footwear industry continues to operate in this kind of new paradigm in footwear that we've all seen over the last few years, what are you anticipating the biggest challenges and opportunities are going to be in 2024?
How about change? Look, our entire global team is wired to anticipate change as a new normal. And we combine that with our mission to serve our brand partners and customers wherever they make shoes. But really, I mean, the playing field continues to be filled with headwinds, and it makes it hard to create efficiencies of scale and leverage as each brand partner has unique needs when it comes to compliance. And so the biggest challenges really are going to be the maintenance or even the establishment of transparency and compliance with sustainability and climate guidelines. I mean, that's the new normal. That's really what we address every single day. We've also got to be, as a global manufacturer, we have to be 100% connected with every region we manufacture in. And along with that, we have to take the vantage point of our customers every day of the week. Look, you just said it, Matt. Our customers are migrating all over the world, right? Geopolitical situation in China, the fact that people don't want to just rely on one manufacturing venue, but now it's changing really fast. So the first move really was to Vietnam, and what we did was we built a factory there. And then then it migrated to Indonesia, and now it's heading around the world to these other venues. So really, the biggest challenges are going to be to continue to produce the exact same products everywhere, because our customers expect if someone's making a shoe in China and Indonesia and Vietnam, they want the exact same components because that shoe has to come out the same every time. So that coupled with the demands of traceability and sustainability that our brand partners have to answer to their retailers and really to the consumer, because this is being driven by the consumers now. You guys know that as well as anybody. So those are the challenges that we face every day, and that's honestly where where we're making most of our investments.
Yeah, and I know, important part of all this too is we're in I don't know another way to say it, but we're just in a weird economic environment, right? We've had inflation's becoming in check. We have consumer spending, but we're still expecting a recession. We want sustainability, but we don't want to pay for it. And so as a supplier to all these different brands, I know you guys are in a unique situation, and I think you can kind of speak to this a little bit, but the margin pressure is not just at retail, right? It's also in the supply chain that you guys have. And I know you guys fight really hard to provide great value at good cost, but with all these added compliance measures, all this added ESG, there's extra cost. And sometimes I just wonder, Glenn, if brands really understand some of the pressures that are faced by the suppliers. And so I'm glad you're coming on today, because I think you can speak to that a little bit and kind of help people understand that.
I think it's important to qualify it with, we're all in this together, and we are learning along with our brand partners what the new paradigm is and what we're going to have to do. And yeah, sometimes the goalposts shift. However, as long as we're all rowing in the same direction and understand what the same goals are, we'll be able to achieve those together. I'm glad you brought it. I mean, margin pressure is the squeakiest wheel. And one of the biggest challenges is the fact that margin pressure is pushing the responsibility for investment in compliance to the supply chain. Right? And so actually it's a burden that we've all got to have to take on together. And that's the only way we'll make the gains that we must in time frame. We have to achieve look, we have to achieve a lower impact, but again, I can't emphasize how much that we are in this together. And look, with 500 brand partners, we really do have a unique purview across the industry, as you mentioned. I know it's also very evident, but worth bringing up. Brands are making huge demands on the supply chain. And whether that's to be transparent, to have granular chain of custody, to have a complete map for sourcing and supply, it all, as you point out, Andy, it all takes time and money and resources. And preparation is needed to enable a supply, and enable for our supply chain to adapt. So we have a short time frame to reach compliance as an industry, and honestly, the only option is success. So, right, you pointed it out. We are under a lot of pressure for margin, and you said that the brands want sustainability, but they're not willing to pay for it. It's the customer, it's the retail customer that's driving this, and so they're going to have to be willing to pay for it. But as long as everyone we try to maintain an opposite. Look, I try to walk in the shoes of brand leaders, and that pun was intended. And we can see what people need. We have the purview of talking to brands in every corner of the world, and so many of them. And so we're able to paint the picture. And the picture started to form last year in 2023. And we're getting more clarity now that it's 2024 and going forward. But that's the challenge. That's the new normal. And my team is ready for it, and we're just we'll all figure it out together as we go forward.
Yeah, I like that, Glenn. As a trade organization that supports the shoe industry for 80 years now, we're in our 80th year.
Congratulations. That's older than me.
Yeah, we do have to do this together. I like that theme you keep coming back to, and you would know better than most based on your experience in the industry. But it's a challenge because you talked about how we're diversifying our sourcing base. We're moving out of China. We headed to Vietnam. We're in Indonesia. You mentioned your offices in a joint venture in India, which seems to be kind of the next frontier. We've seen investments from Polk. We've seen major companies like Walmart go into India for footwear. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot happening in that space. So staying together and doing this together and being at point of production, I think is so critically important.
Absolutely.
But you also are an innovative company beyond just kind of the sourcing and the supplier front. Talk to us about your most innovative product and how that's impacting the supply chain and your customer base.
Okay. I'll start with, we've always been focused on sustainability. And look, in 1997, when I started the company, I had come out of the rubber industry. And what I wanted to do, I had this personal vendetta against all the giant tire dumps. You could see it in towns around, all around the country and around the world. And in those days, no one was addressing that. So what I did was I said to the chemist who developed OrthoLite, I said, I want you to put ground rubber tires in there. And that's what those little black spots are today in our formulations. And he said, why? I said, I just want to start getting rid of them. This is before people could even, spell sustainability. We did it. We didn't even talk about it. It was kind of like a personal thing for me. And so that's always been our quest to try to address environmental concerns while still delivering a product that worked inside the shoe, because the bottom line is that's what we have to do. So we've been making polyurethane, and we're kind of the polyurethane foam experts. We are in this industry for sure. And people had said to me for a decade, hey, why don't you guys make midsoles or other foam for lining materials, et cetera? Because you're the experts. And I thought to myself, we will when we find something totally unique, because OrthoLite was 100% unique when we introduced it to the industry, and we're not going to just go ahead and make another PU foam for midsoles. However, what we have done now, what we've worked on for the past several years, and what we'll be introducing later this year is a product called Circle. And Circle addresses the circular economy, and Circle is in two forms. We have fully biodegradable and industrially compostable foam that will be used for midsoles that is critically foamed. So in other words, we foam this without chemicals. So there are absolutely no everlasting plastics involved in this iteration of Circle, completely bio-based. The other branch of this pursuit in Circle is we're producing 100% recycled, or not 100%, but the preponderance of recycled materials, recycled plastics, 100% recycled in our material. And this will be TPU or nylon based. We're working on both venues right now. So it's all foamed, critically foamed, which means it's foamed with CO2 or nitrogen, which, as you know, is 75% of what's around us. And it's just not, we don't use any chemical catalysts at all in the foaming process. It's great. It's something that's unique to the world. And right now we own 7 patents and counting. And we'll introduce these 2 materials later this year.
That's great. I'm excited to see that, because I think, we're right now as an industry, we keep having chemical challenges and problems, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like we see the latest one is PFAS, which is a forever chemical, and it's typically associated with plastics and leaching out and causing cancers. And so, a lot of brands are trying to zero that out. But if you're starting with components and materials that don't have any chemicals to start with, you've got a great head start when you're looking at that. So, and so I think it's fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to see that. I guess the second part of that too, Glenn, and what we're seeing as people start to lean more into sustainable materials, what we've seen this past year compared to previous years is that the performance does not degrade. There's this assumption that if you're creating something more sustainable, you have to give up the performance or the comfort. And that's not true anymore. In some instances, we're seeing some plant-based materials outperform the plastics, which is fascinating to think about. And so adding that into what you guys are doing with extra innovate, that's like innovation squared, basically, with no chemicals. Like that's pretty fascinating on where we're headed. So kudos to you guys for doing that and launching that. And I would say to folks too, that's no easy thing. That's a lot of lab work. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of investment. And things like this are things that are going to be really kind of game changing. Glenn, as we look to the outlook for this year, what else is game changing for you guys? What should brand executives be focusing on over the course of the year that you think they should zero in on?
Frankly, brand executives should be focused on selling more shoes right now, because
Amen.
Right. But seriously, look, the things that are going to be overriding this year are transparency, compliance, and getting our arms around the complexity of the global supply chain. I mean, in terms of transparency, suppliers must meet the needs of brands to ensure transparency. The survey you guys just published points to how challenging this is for brands. Go deeper with fewer suppliers and shorten your supply chain. That's my advice when it comes to transparency.
Yeah.
In terms of honestly, trust has to be the watchword in all of this. Find trusted suppliers who are with you everywhere you manufacture your products. Local for local is a buzzword right now, which is absolutely it's the buzzword that we will live by now. And so transparency is key. Compliance. 2024 will be a year like none of us have ever experienced. Brands will need more solutions to reach their own climate goals. And the onslaught of global legislation and regulation is going to push us all toward less impactful business and manufacturing practices. And then lastly, the complexity in the global supply chain will continue, right? As more and more brands migrate out of China, as we talked about, Matt, in doing so, there's this great need right now for consistent reliability, quality, and capacity. Because I said it before, delivering the exact same product wherever footwear is manufactured around the world is just key. And that's it. And so, these are real challenges, and they do make it more difficult. But a company like ours, we invest in this on a daily basis, and this is what we think about. So that's my advice. That's my 2 cents for
there you go. All right,
figure out 2024.
That's awesome. Well, again, congratulations on 25 years. And got a lot of things going on in your 25th year coming out. So excited to see that.
Andy, I will say, I also want to congratulate. It's been since 2022, but Glenn, you received the AA Bloom Award for your support of 210. So you give back. You talked about we're in this together. I can't think of another. It's like FDRA and 210. These are the organizations that really draw the industry together. So thank you for your support of both organizations. To be honest with you, so we're grateful for that.
Thank you, Matt. When you're in a position like I am, and when you've been fortunate enough to be successful in this industry, the 210 is such a focused and awesome way to give back to that industry and to that group of people that have contributed to your success. Because we're all in this together, right? And having an organization like the 210, it's just incredible. I've been involved with it since the day, honestly, I came into this industry. But thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Shoe and Show. There'll be a couple more we're going to be pushing out over the next several weeks that look at 2024 and outlook and how we can help refine and focus our efforts as an industry. There's going to be a lot of challenges. Some are things that we know. There's going to be some things this year that are going to be complete curveballs, including the election. Who knows? So stay tuned, stay close to FDRA, stay buckled up. We'll keep you updated on what's happening and try to help make sense of all of it and try to pull the industry together and kind of head in the same direction. As they say, iron sharpens iron. And so we appreciate you listening to Shoe and Show. Appreciate OrthoLite and their support and Glenn coming on today to share some really important insights as we kick off the year. With that, make sure to go to shoeandshow.com to see our entire catalog of over 7 years now of wonderful, top-class, #1 shoe podcasting. Now, I'll qualify that. It's on the business side, right? Plenty of great sneaker podcasts and that. But on the business side, we are #1, and everybody knows it in their hearts and their minds, and we appreciate you continually engaging and listening. And until next time, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.